we're here.
Now we're here. Teddy Saunders.
Fred was in the other room. You were already.
But look what time it is. Like both you guys, Sam, you got some shit to say to me.
Dude,
Where were you? Where were you when this thing was starting,
I was
dude?
fast asleep.
Okay, then.
Stoned from 5 hours ago.
Come on.
I was like, I would have been completely out, man.
I actually had to wring your ass out of bed.
You had to ring my ass out of bed, old school, calling me up and being like, where the fuck are you?
Okay? Hey, Sam, what time is it?
That explains the blue blockers.
I know, man.
You're making sure that there's no cortisol that's entering you during this interview to keep you awake.
That's right. That's right.
Me, on the other hand, full cortisol.
Oh, no.
I want to stay as in my stoned element as I possibly can over the course of this interview. So I'm not about to take some, I need the blue blockers on so that I can filter out any potential wakefulness that might come in. So,
well, you need to be a little bit humble. You need to be humble when giving me shit about being in the wrong room that I designed in the first place, but at the same time, it is elementarily foolish how hard it has been for the three of us get started tonight. And, it's worth paying attention to that, but it sure is great to be with, well, at least for me, it's great to be with the two of you. So that's a good deal. I get the good deal on that one.
Oh, I was psyched when I got woken up. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, this is awesome. What a great way to wake up, an interview with Teddy.
And now we have 1 minute and 40 seconds of our podcast listener hearing our soliloquies. I don't even know what a soliloquy means.
I think it's what you just did. Right there. I think that, isn't it? Isn't that like a 12-second soliloquy you just laid on us?
I got to look it up. I don't think I
don't even know, but it's a great word.
Can we share the screen on the Zencaster thing? Or is it? No, that's a Zoom phenomenon, isn't it?
Soliloquy.
Shit.
I don't even know how to fucking spell it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Fred is learning his own podcast
at the end of this word. It's a QUY.
Okay. An act
that
of
is some
speaking
serious
one's thoughts.
Scrabble points, bro.
Hang on. An act of speaking one's thoughts aloud when by oneself or regardless of any hearers, especially by a character in a play. So I think that counts.
Yeah, hell yes, it does. Teddy,
we're kind of group soliloquying.
Yeah, that's true. Parallel.
We're just speaking our own thoughts to ourselves.
Group. Yeah, 3 definite different directions as we soliloquize.
Simultaneous soliloquizing.
Yeah.
Soliloquizing.
Shit. All right, well, listen.
A trio of soliloquies.
Let's dig into some real stuff here. So 2 videos. I was watching 2 videos. I was on the internet way too long today, so I got shit going on in my head. And not that I don't when I'm not on the internet, but I'm just saying I did because I was on the internet. And the last 2 films I saw was this one that I sent to you. I don't know if you got room for it, Teddy, but that one you sent me from this DMT University of Michigan dude. So that was really an interesting thing, that little TEDx U of M guy, right?
Oh, that was the thing I sent you.
Yeah, that you sent me. And I just forwarded it to Teddy at 9:30 to see if he was like, biting his nails, waiting for 10 a.m., 10 p.m. I just thought I could fill his time with that, but apparently he's doing some other shit.
I was biting my dinner.
Yeah.
Wait, you actually have other things to do other than watch videos about DMT?
I was shoving food in my mouth as fast as I could before 10 o'clock.
There you go. So
just so that you could get here to have me not even here, stoned
and then
asleep.
Flossing right before to make sure there wasn't spinach in my teeth.
So, I had this idea because when I think of DMT, somehow I think of the 2 of you. I don't know what the point is there. I'm just saying the truth, though. And then after that, there was this commercial in the next video that was e-commerce. And it was from the couple dudes who have made, several $100 billion or something, talking about the shit, these guys just picking up products since 1994. And certainly when I hear talk like that, there is nobody I ever met who's like my guy to listen to than Teddy Saunders. And then I'm like, well, there you go. That's a couple eggs to lay at the start of this flipping too late in the night pajama jam podcast. So let's land this thing, I figure. So
Teddy
there's some food.
Teddy has the answer, I think is what you're saying. He has the bridge between DMT and e-commerce.
And
And
us. And us.
and us.
Yeah.
And us.
Good luck with that,
I think
Teddy.
that was a fantastic segue. Congratulations, Dr. Fred. God damn. I am well done.
Now I see.
Well
I see where
done.
the plane has landed now.
The genius has just spoken. All right, let's take this, Teddy.
Wow. $1 billion enterprises and DMT, which, I mean,
that is your world, Teddy. Name the other part of your world beside those two things. Seriously.
I mean, I do consider myself a bit of a psychonaut, spiritual business person, I would say. And yes, I've done many types of DMT.
There you go.
And yes, I am an entrepreneur who runs a few different businesses.
Online. Definitely e-businesses.
Yeah. I mean, the word that comes to mind is creativity and innovation, new neuroprogramming, neuroplasticity from thinking outside the box. I feel like that's where those worlds benefit from one another.
Okay, go deeper though, because if someone is listening and they haven't tried DMT, they might be like, okay, well, I think outside of the box and I'm a creative person, and but they would have no idea what the nature of DMT is. So go a little deeper, scratch that surface a little bit beyond the superficial of creativity and commerce.
Well, I'm going to give you at least a backdoor out on that. I mean, if you really find that it tickles your ass a little better to talk to us about e-commerce, then by all means, you have that opportunity, as clearly you're someone worth listening to in that arena as well. So I give you that backdoor, if I will.
So Fred
I'm way more interested in this DMT.
Fred is giving you the
too.
sanity option, and I'm giving you the insanity option.
There you go. Exactly.
And I'll try to find the in between. Well, I mean, okay. So there's plant medicine. Like, you can smoke cannabis and get creative juices flowing. DMT, I'm trying to think, do you want the subjective opinion on, because DMT could be a risk because it could totally change your perspective, but that's also a big deal. Like Dave Asprey, who created Bulletproof Coffee, he was a fat millionaire and then he did DMT, and then he's, the wokest, most conscious grandfather of biohacking. And that all started from his Aya journey in Peru.
By the way, let me just pause to say, isn't it interesting that in 2021, probably the most controversial thing that we've heard thus far is the word fat?
Oh, yeah. Sorry that I said that word. That's
that. Well, let's hold the line on that actual insight. Word. That's fucking word. Funny. Because what's funny is that really is
anything.
Teddy, you show us those graphs of up and down, that shit you show the world when you're talking Bitcoin. Like the lowest point, what's that called of that graph? When it goes down to 32,000, what do you call that thing? Or 33,000? You have a name for that lowest point.
Well, this would be a support level if it's holding that line. It's
holding the line. The lowest point of this conversation is the word fat so far, which is that's really a great insight. I mean, because we've been talking shit about a lot of things, and that's the one, sort of the one.
That's the one that, like, the police, I hear the police sirens on.
Like, what did he say? What did he say?
I'll send you guys.
Yeah.
Like, DMT, totally fine. Like, yeah, we all smoke DMT these days. Oh. What did he say about fat? Dave Asprey was fat?
And of course, the guy
is him telling himself that he was fat.
Exactly.
It wasn't me calling him fat.
Call it Dave Asprey fat. It's just like not really going to work, actually. It's like the opposite of the truth on top of that. So
calling Dave Asprey
he was, I'm going to take it to the next level. He was a fat ass. Dave Asprey was a fat ass for
Oh,
a
was he
while.
really?
I'm taking it to the next level.
All right.
I'm jumping on. I'm helping.
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
helping Teddy out here now at
I-
this point because I just
all right.
took it to the next level. So now, if the cops are out, the political correctness cops are out. They're coming to my house, not Teddy's house. And this time, I just redirected
Thanks for
them.
taking the fucking hand grenade, bro. That's
Mhm.
good. Good work.
You're welcome.
Yeah. We
Teddy,
protect
go
our
on
guests.
about.
That's what, look,
Go on
if you
about
had either
fat
of us
ass-
alone, it'd be fucking dangerous. You don't have us alone. If it had, that's we protect each other and our guests, and that's why you're here.
That's right, Teddy. Go on about the fat ass Dave
Okay.
Asprey and what happened to
I
that
feel
fat
like we
ass.
don't need to talk about Dave anymore. Let's talk about. I mean, well, that story was told. Dave considered himself a fat ass, and then he did DMT in the form of ayahuasca, which is one of the many forms of DMT you could do, and probably the.
So I've done it. So I've done it. You know, I've done it. I didn't realize that I had forgotten that equation. So I've done it a few times. I know that. That's
so Fred
some shit,
has
man.
done that, you guys.
So
Yeah.
Fred's done that.
You can load it.
Yeah,
But not you two, I suspect.
there's different. I mean, God. Okay. Well, the three forms that I know is 5-MeO, NN, DMT. Both of those you smoke, and then ayahuasca, which you drink. Those
5-MeO being toad poison, frog
are
poison.
5-MeO being toad venom that you. I once was with a shaman, and
You put it on
we
your
used an
arm.
argon gas vaporizer and a launch pad. Craziest experience and drug that I've ever done to date, for sure.
Can you start it? What were you saying about the launch? What was the word before launch pad?
The room you smoked it on a mattress, and the room is filled with pillows. And there's a very good reason why that is the case. Apparently, well, I mean, should I go into what 5-MeO? I mean, we're going straight into the deep end if this is how we open this.
That's where we're going. That's where we like to go.
I mean, there's an entheogen book that talks about 5-MeO being the craziest drug you can do. I think it is, but I've never done certain weird cactuses. But anyway, you smoke it and you basically don't know that you exist. I didn't know that I existed for about 40 minutes. And meanwhile, I'm doing things, I'm saying things, and I'm in a room where people, when someone's under the influence, only one person does it at a time, and everyone holds space for that person. And you're only allowed to say one word to that person. You have to hold your hands up. And the only word you're allowed to say to them is the word yes. And I remember the last thing I remember was my body in like this crazy temple position. Like I was like stacked in like some weird like position, and then breathing out. And they say, don't forget to breathe. I forgot.
You forgot
But breathing out and not having a fear of needing to breathe in again, and just breathing out forever. And then my existence went to source, whatever that means. And I remember going to a place that was darker than black. It was more empty. It was darker than black, but it was everything. And that was the last memory I had. And then 40 minutes later, I'm standing in the middle of the room. There's 10 people surrounding me, or 8 people, including the shaman and everyone else who does it. You spend all day. Everyone does it one at a time, one person at a time. And I'm explaining singularity to everyone. And I think that if I say a specific word that the universe will end, and I'm like, should I say the word? No, like I don't want the universe to end. And my ego is coming back in layers. And first I knew that I existed. And then this is the worst feeling I've ever had in my entire life. And then I knew that sorrow and worry and pain and fear existed. And I was scared shitless that I would be living with that infinitely, which we all do. We all have that as a possibility.
Sure.
And then I realized humor existed. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's not just sorrow. Like there's so many emotions that consist of life. And everyone was like really serious. and then I like went in to like kiss my girlfriend, and I like gave her a raspberry on her stomach and like messed with everyone, and like I just started playing around.
Mm.
But I had a sprained thumb because apparently I was rolling around the floor and I had no idea. I had a torn lip and I had a torn throat because I breathed in. This is crazy. I'm telling a story.
Wait,
I
how did you
breathed in
tear
deeper
your
than I've ever
throat?
breathed in before, which means I somehow forced my throat to expand wider than it's ever expanded, and I tore it
Come
by my
on.
own breath.
Cut.
What?
No, look,
And I
I'm a
somehow
doctor,
tore
Ted.
my lip.
Ted,
Like,
I've been listening,
how do you
bro.
right now tear your lip?
Wow. Wow.
My mouth
I
was
don't even
open
think
wider than it's ever been, so I tore my lip.
I don't even think I've heard about porn stars doing that.
No, not even with a dildo, bro.
But that was 5-MeO DMT, which is vaporized frog venom. There's few shamans who I would trust doing this in this, and I don't know if that. I don't
Would you
know
do
if.
it again, Ted?
Here's the thing. Here's what it taught me. It taught me a glimpse of what death is. I actually didn't. I didn't believe in life after death in the same way, because it made me understand how to exist without having an identity, without having an ego. That I'm just like a consciousness somewhere, but me is gone. And that's essentially what was happening for like 40 minutes. Um, and um, and it taught me that I have surrender issues. I think, you know, one of the things about me, and this is what I've done ayahuasca 4 times. I'm finally learning. This is a great segue into ayahuasca. The first 3 times I did ayahuasca, I was trying to do ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, let me see the psychedelics. I want to see shit. I want to find the existence of life. I want to see God. And I was like, no, you're just going to sit there and worry. Like, you're just going to cry. Like, and then it took 4 times. It took me maturing through the 5-MeO process and through Aya to realize that surrender and trust and zero expectations is the name of the game. In my last ayahuasca was finally at the time where I did like a 5-hour journey of transformational. I was just like, I had a bandana over my eyes. Like, I didn't need to see anything. And I sat there with no body for 5 hours and just went on a journey and sort of any question. I mean, the best thing about Aya, and this is good. This is coming back to like entrepreneurship. If you have a question, ayahuasca, the slowness of it, and to me, ayahuasca is the sincerity drug. Like, people who have no sincerity, who are just kind of fake, they need ayahuasca more than ever. Like, because ayahuasca allows you to feel more than any drug, I think, and to feel the truth and to feel that
Cold hard truth. Cold hard truth.
cold hard truth. And sometimes the truth is so hard it makes you vomit because you just have been
That's the
hiding it for so
experience.
long, and
Yeah.
now
with,
it's
with
coming
like
out.
either a big hug or a kick in the ass, or probably a combination of the two.
Yeah. I can't believe I have never vomited from that. I've come close.
So you and I are we're about. I'm not. My next one would be my fourth one, and I really get what you're saying about maybe me even for the first three. You know, it's scared of, like, willing to or trying to or scared or trying to get, trying to keep the tables flat between me and her. Trying or trying to be like trying to try to go negotiate. And it's just like,
Yeah, and for me, it came down to like the micro of like, is my body in the right position? Like fuck trying to see psychedelic things. It's like, am I supposed to be lying down or sitting up? And I realized, like, why, like, if I sit up too tall, then I'm trying. If I lie down all the way, then I'm like too passive and it's more sleepy. But for me, I was just like against the wall, just like slouched to the point of like, I have no arms and I have no legs. Like, don't try to put your arms or legs, don't try to sit cross-legged if it's uncomfortable. Like the whole point is to not feel your body so that you can escape the reality bubble that you're in and go on that journey of 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 asking questions to Mother Aya, and but also just like, maybe the questions are not what it's about, and you come out of the other side with something completely different. But as an entrepreneur, that's like, or someone who's got relationship problems, anyone who's got big questions, that's the truth. That's where you can feel the sincerity of the answers. And it's you answering it probably, but it's like the deepest truthful version of you. I mean, it could be Mother Aya answering it. Who knows?
I love that physical description because it was like you had to somehow try not to try without trying to try not to try, basically, in order so that your body was actually in a position to truly let go and surrender to have that insight that came along with it. Where the fuck did Fred go? There he is.
That was like a big revelation for me, because the time before that, I told the shaman to give me so much drink that there was a guarantee I had to trip out. And I sat up, and I remember looking across the room, and everything was just blurry because I was so high. I was just like so sedated. But it's because I sat up trying. I was trying. And instead I just got like blurry whatever.
Fred, you know a little bit about this too much ayahuasca,
Yeah, I do.
don't you?
The second time,
one more cup.
Yeah,
or half
no,
a
not
cup.
a cup. No, it was one molecule.
What does that mean?
Well, here's how this went. I did a Friday Saturday ceremony, and the Friday night, I kind of, whatever happened at the end, and I was on the ocean, and it's completely brilliant, but just worn out. And I think I just had figured out the dosing. Like I had my shit together enough that me and Aya were just cool. Like, and just enough. Like, yeah, that the reason why it wasn't that, like this is the explanation I put in my head. Like I had my shit together enough so that there was not that much to buff up, on Friday night. It was like, we're just good. Yeah, Fred, you're good. I believed her, and we're good. We're just good. And then I, for the next day, walking up and down the Encinitas Beach, which is indeed one of the most spectacular spaces in all of the United States, at the very least, and maybe the world for sure. I figured out my dosing, which was I'm going to go in there and I'm going to ask for a half a dose. I got it figured out. I'm good for a half a dose Saturday. And, I worked it out. I worked out the math perfectly. I worked out I ate properly to prepare for that. I, took a nap at the right moment of the day, and
fucking pro.
Mr. Expert over here.
Oh yeah. I like
shaman.
Yeah. I was like, measuring my steps and shit. And
before your Saturday follow up.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like game. I was game. I had this thing all worked out. So I went in there and took a half a dose, and nothing happened. It's like, a little bit, but it was like, ah. So the drug addict in me, and it's like, wait, I didn't come this far to have nothing happen. I could have drank orange juice for this. So
I didn't come here for the fucking placebo.
I mean, I got to get something. And then I'm thinking
threshold.
And and what I'm thinking is, no, Fred, you actually did come to get nothing, because look how strong you'll be if you walk away from this. It's like, okay, that's true. No would be a really good answer here. So, anyways, when the halftime came and it was time to consider a second glass full.
Glass full. Did you say yes to the full glass?
No, I didn't. He gave me the half dose, And then he gave me, like, I could see the next molecule. That's where molecule came in. I could see the tipping molecule, the one that was going to say, you know, red or blue pill in IO
The
terms.
threshold popper.
And I went for the tree of knowledge, you know, I just did. I went for the tree of knowledge, and that for the next 1 hour was the most uncomfortable hour of my life to date, and I would do it again. That's why I asked you, would you do it again, you know?
What was the discomfort?
Oh, it was the fighting and being with the purging, but it was really how the world is and how much work I had put into living on this planet to sort of make ends meet somehow at the end, and the massive disillusion that the ends can't meet. And that it was always going to cross each other. And I, as a human being dependent on equilibrium, am not going to be okay with that. And that I don't have any dominion over altering that truth. I'm just not going to be okay with that. So the distinction between where the world is and where it could be was this space, you know. And in that space was this massive interest in purging out every part of my innards. Also, however, there was a massive disinterest in the exact same thing, for sure.
Interesting.
And I was like, and then the only one between me and, like, I got something to say about it, right? That's the other thing. Like, I'm still going to be able to, like, you know, like somehow I can fight off the surge. So there's only one other player in the room. So there she is, you know, and I'm like, you know, and the colors and the next geometry and the next, is it going to be okay or is it not? And is there reality, and is there reality that it's reality? And oh yeah, there's no escape from not escaping, because there's not escaping because it's not a possibility. It's like, oh.
I have a good question for both of you. You mentioned, you know, like that was your experience and that was your truth.
Yeah.
Is that truth capitalized? Is that truth an infinite existing truth with a capital T that is the same exact truth as today? That's my question.
It's a great question.
Because it was your truth then.
It's at least it was, yeah. I mean, it may also be the truth now, and simply that we're not aware of it. I think there's a willingness for me to believe that, yes, actually it is. And then when we come back here, we get limited into our thought process that doesn't really be able to metabolize that fact. I think that that's my knee-jerk answer to your question, Sam.
Well, was there a then?
Well, there you go. The Zen warrior. That's the Zen. That's the Zen warrior. You know, Sam Morris. That's
I'm the Zen warrior.
He's the Zen warrior.
What do you get? What does that
asking,
mean?
Was there a then? You said is the truth is it true now
that there was,
or was it true then? And is it absolute capital T true or lowercase t true? Is it just a subjective experience based on what was happening then, or is this the absolute truth happening now and then? And my question is there actually a then, or is this now the same now moment that Fred is communicating from then and now?
My man, the then master.
Well, there was no then, perhaps.
Right.
It was just another now.
Right.
Of course. What do you mean was?
But what I'm trying to get to, which is, it's interesting, like God, I'm at some point I'm going to write a book about all this. Um, if everything is quantum, if everything is like an energy flux, then that truth that happened is like a truth in motion. It's not like in stone. And memory and feelings and reality of that moment, how can you say, well, how could, like, today you're a different person, and so can you renegotiate your truth?
Hmm.
Can you look at that story that you told yourself from that experience and look at it through a new truth, a new perspective, and
Or really, you're
completely,
asking about the story you're telling yourself now about the story you told yourself then.
yeah, like when I like had that sorrow loop coming back into my ego,
Yeah, that's beautiful
and that was like the most
depiction.
terrifying like moment,
Hmm.
because I thought I'd be trapped in it. Maybe I could retell that story and make, and it always comes back to like humanity and my compassion for humanity. Like, now I can see like these people that are suffering. That's actually the first Aya trip I did. It was about my worry, and then it ended up about our worry, and I was grateful for the compassion to like feel that.
Hmm.
But that, I mean, simple question: is that truth,
Well,
you know,
in the world,
renegotiated?
there's a world that it's like, wait a second, I'm not going back to her telling her that I didn't believe her when she said what she said. I'm not going to do that. I feel like, and what's driving that is the massive amplification of the experience beyond anything that I ever knew could exist makes that seem so much larger than any other truth that compares to it.
Mm. And it was, I mean, is it just something that was sedated and hiding for a long time? Has it always been there? You just had to face it?
It's almost like all moves, including standing upright and speaking from this thing called a mouth and making up lies and dealing with corruption, jealousy, pain, and self-righteousness. All of those things are like in an effort to bridge that gap between what's so and what we have been telling ourselves is so. That's what it feels like from inside ayahuasca.
It's curious. It's really interesting how ayahuasca, or lots of other psychedelics for that matter, seem to shine this really, like, the spotlight on kind of the worst of our human nature and the best of our human nature simultaneously. And there's very little middle ground on that spectrum. It's not like most people have these deep psychedelic experiences and they're like, oh, yeah, had an average experience of my middle of the spectrum aspects of my psyche. Like, every experience is like, realized how fucking painful my life is and how
Mm,
much I need to let go of and how much I'm attached to
mm,
and how fucked up the darkest parts of my soul are.
mm,
Or I realized what an incredibly loving, compassionate individual I really am at my core. And I came to peace with this deeper sense of being one with all things and the entire galaxy and the fish and the snakes and the trees. It's
yeah,
like
yeah. The thing
two
is, are those two things mutually exclusive?
extremes. Two
Does Is it? I could be
extremes.
both at the same time. It's not like one really precludes
Oh,
the other.
I was once on a mushroom trip in the middle of a field in Maine, and if I stepped over to this side of this little wall, this stone wall, it was fucking demons. It was like Satan side, and if I stepped over on this side of the stone wall, everything was totally light, and I'm like hanging out, like, whoa, check that
Wow,
out. If you
check
go
that
over to
out.
this side of the stone wall, that's like fucking darkness, eternal darkness. And on this side of the stone wall is eternal light. That's really fucking wild. This was as
Which direction did you go?
I just kind of hung out on the stone wall.
I mean, but it's not like you ran away from the shadow side. It's like that
It's
was you
there,
were
man.
curious about it.
Try running
Yeah.
away from your shadow. Let me know how that works for you.
Right. Actually, isn't that what most people are doing anyway? You know, with all of this lack of ability to surrender, all of this surrender stuff, isn't that coming from running away from the shadow?
Running from the shadow, isn't that like Fleetwood Mac?
Running from the shadow. No, it's Van Halen. Running from the shadow. Running from the shadow.
No, there is a running from the shadow
I'm
by
just kidding.
Fleetwood Mac that you do
running
know.
from the devil, Van Halen.
You do. I'm saying.
All right.
Go ahead.
No,
Anyway.
was there a running from the shadow, Fleetwood Mac? Oh yeah. No, there is.
I know there is.
Yeah.
I'd have to make some shit up pretty deep to land that one without
running from the shadows.
Yeah,
sure.
Song.
Yeah. No,
I might have one of the words wrong. It's almost a song at the very. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Van Halen is running with the devil.
Yeah, I know. Running
Sam
with
was saying how running away from your problems.
Good work, Morris.
This is a good soliloquizing.
It was a commercial break.
Sam, you said running away from your problems is because you can't surrender.
Are we running from our shadows when we are unwilling to surrender? Like, is there something in that tension of holding on when we should be letting go that is related to not wanting to fully acknowledge our shadow?
Good shit, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't run away,
it's good shit.
If you can't run away, then you have to surrender.
Yeah, and if you can't surrender, then you're having a hard time because you're running away. You're running away from something. What would we be running away from?
You know
what would you be running away from? It's awesome, man. That's
unknown.
Really good, Sam.
Pain. I remember the first time I did Aya, I was so scared. And they said, surrender. Second time I did Aya, I took it a step further. And when the fear came, I leaned in. I was like, show me. Like, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, take me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, never mind. The fear was like, never mind. You go do your thing.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't want to give this to you because you
want it so over
bad.
fear. Victory over fear is a good one.
It's like same with like forgiveness. Like there's forgiveness is phase 1, or like surrender is phase 1, and then acceptance would be phase 2, where you don't even need any forgiveness. You just totally trust and totally surrender and accept it. I don't know if that's the same as leaning into the fear. You know, Bitcoin crashes, all my money's in Bitcoin. I can surrender, or I can lean into the fear and buy more Bitcoin.
There's the other option.
Oh, that's funny.
There's the other option.
Otherwise I could be fearful and sell all my Bitcoin. It's funny.
And is there a right and wrong answer in that situation? I don't think there is. It's just another choice.
I mean, it's interesting, the topic of like whatever you're the most afraid of, that's the thing you should be doing. Which is the hardest.
So I'm not going to lie, I so much appreciate this truth, and I have such deep reverence for it that I believe actually stems from, at least the deepest part of its roots do stem from Aya. And there's, like, I didn't have it this deep before I did Aya. Let's put it that way. It was reasonable. It was like deep. It was deep enough, but it wasn't as deep for this respect of leaning into what is on, seek discomfort. But it really is so uncomfortable to consider that that's the way that one should live their life. Just in like futuristic notion of, okay, well, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Let's see how that goes the rest of my life. I'll just go for the shit that is like the least comfort producing so that I can live a life of peace or a life of growth and development or a life of satisfaction or love or sentimentality or compassion. What the fuck do I get out of chasing down the most uncomfortable shit I can think of?
In insanity. You could
Mhm.
Insanity.
just you could just drink your beer and watch your TV and take care of your horses and not live in Southern California and do
Mhm.
ayahuasca
Mhm.
ceremonies.
And there's certain psychedelic experiences I have where I think, why didn't I choose that path? That would have been a lot easier than this path. Like, holy shit, why didn't I just choose beer and TV?
I remember seeing a meme and it said there's this great meme that was like me before ayahuasca and me after ayahuasca, and the me before was like this guy in a suit who was like drunk and fat, and the me after was like this guy who's skinny on the beach, but the guy in the suit was super happy and drunk and fat, and the guy who was skinny on the beach in his robes was like very serious, and I'm
Ah.
like, maybe drunk and fat is like, I mean,
Yeah, it
we
depends
probably
what
have
metric.
family.
It's the metric problem. It's like if you're measuring comfort by pleasure sought and then temporarily received, there's some definite score. You score some points for a life that looks like that for sure. That's hell yes, hell
But I
yes.
think part of it, and I'm sure we can all relate, is we're explorers,
Mhm.
and we, we only have one life to live. So like, I mean, I know I try that. Like, if I'm invited to a new country, I've never been to a new city, and I've never been to it. Like, that'd be like, I want to die knowing that I've said yes to all the experiences,
Beautiful.
and I guess a part of the reason doing it, I mean, and you can do it infinitely, just like exploring the depths of consciousness and reality, which the joke is, it's an infinite puzzle. You'll never be able to figure it out. I've had two moments in my life where I thought the universe was going to end because I figured it out, and then it kept going, and then that showed me that the universe doesn't end. Like, there is no Big Bang. Like, singularity goes into the Big Bang, which goes back into
All right.
singularity, which
So
goes
let
into
me
the
let
Big
me
Bang.
interrupt you here only because I certainly could hear this the rest of the way. And Sam's thinking, Fred, are you going to interrupt him because it's important? So I've only heard one person ever say shit exactly like that. And that actually, as it turns out, as God is my witness, is last night. And last night it was after a conversation with one Sam Morris. And so, since that's true, this idea of really having the brink of all of universal existence in your lap, like who you get to be in that situation is one who is responsible for the continuation of the entire universe. Sam delivered that to me last night in a storyline, very, very similar. And really, both of you, honestly, are the first I've heard speak with that level of gorgeous eloquence to describe
This was
something that
after
actually resonates with me. It's really brilliant.
400 milligrams of ketamine last night with my eyes
I was
open.
I was I was curious if that was true.
Yeah, yeah. I decided to keep my eyes open during such a powerful ketamine ride. I mean, 400 milligrams is just not for the meek of heart. It's even really not even advised for advanced psychonauts. And it's definitely not advised to leave your eye mask off and start to check out what's going on with the light coming through the door.
Is that 4 grams?
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
400, it's
400
point,
Point
milligrams.
four.
point four
400
gram.
milligrams.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I was.
It's not
I
look,
mean,
Intravenous
they don't
or
even on the literature. Of the
no,
studies,
hey,
they
hey,
don't
hey.
even list that as a
No,
possibility.
no, no, that's not true at all. That's definitely not true. That you can't say that. You can't say that because it's not true. You cannot publicize that truth as if it's true with me in the same
Okay,
room as you. So,
all right.
and it isn't true. 400 milligrams is on the upper edge. And the purpose of giving, and I learned this today in the ketamine lecture that I attended at 11 o'clock this morning. That 400 is to be chosen for, there's way more intense routes to receive ketamine. There's IV, there's IM, there's ways to get the real jolt that's way different than anything the lozenge can bring. But
That's good
400
to
is
keep in
for
mind.
those who are like specially chosen, who think, where the mystical experience becomes therapeutically valuable to the advancement of the psychiatric possibilities. Like you have to pick and choose your people carefully. And I would say in this case, Sam does qualify as a dude who's on the edge at that point, willing and capable of 400. And so let's just put that in perspective, Sam. It's not like you took 4,000. So come, just chill and then tell your story.
4,000
All
you would.
right.
So, but
I wasn't saying I was taking 4,000,
I'm
but
curious why you
certainly was
kept your
saying, well, yeah,
eyes
go ahead, Teddy.
you kept your eyes open. That's a big part of your story
Yep,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So
because you wanted.
I've had this sort of been in
Mhm.
this. I have this curiosity. It's like curiosity is going to be the death of me, but I'm going to die anyway, so I
We
might as
are
well die
explorers,
curious.
we
You
here.
know,
Yeah.
it's so
Guilty.
at a certain point with ketamine, I kind of got a little bit. Sometimes you get a little bit bored with the Spotify playlist. The music just feels a little bit kind of redundant after a while. So then so I was kind of like, all right, a while back, I was like, okay, I'm going to try listening to Rudolf Steiner lectures on ketamine and see what happens there. That was insane. I mean, because I had no ability to filter out any of the information that I was
Teddy,
receiving, and I
what does
was
incorrigible mean?
incorrigible.
Yeah.
Uh, like, what is it? Like uh, yeah, what is the exact definition? I've used that word, but I don't even necessarily know what I know what
Are we
know what the
soliloquizing
exact.
right now?
Oh no, I'm cutting this off a little bit. I'm landing a soliloquy level truth though, for
A
sure.
person not able to be corrected, improved, or reformed.
Yes, there you go. I think that describes me.
It
So
was
I'm
just
listening to
rolling in my
Rudolf
head.
Steiner lectures
Yeah, totally incorrigible.
and completely incorrigible.
Shit.
You're
And so
your
that
own
was
pioneer.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like
You're a
you
rule
know
bender.
Yeah,
if I was
at
to listen to Rudolf Steiner lectures under a normal waking mindset, I would it would have to come through my little intellectual filter. I'd be like, oh yeah, well that's interesting. Oh, I'd never really thought about that like that. Interesting. Okay, well maybe I wonder how that fits in with my existing framework of bias based on my own personal experience. Oh, that fits. Oh, that doesn't fit. But with
I
ketamine,
like it. I don't like it. I agree with
I
it. I
like it.
don't
I
agree
agree
with
with
it.
it. I don't agree. Yeah, well, maybe I'll check that out at some future
It's
point when
right.
I
It's
decide to
wrong.
think about that again.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a too old. It's too new. I
it
know.
was like this,
That was
like
Steiner's
blasted open the
time.
doors.
Yeah.
This just blasted open the doors. So I was like
So
being
cool.
Steiner in all of the worlds that he went to. I was in that same consciousness because there was no filter of me, between the Steiner and the consciousness. So I was in his wherever that was coming from. I was getting the download straight from the source for a while. So, in a similar vein, in a similar incorrigible vein,
Thanks for landing it, because that's the only word that was left again. I totally
I
appreciate
decided
it.
to just kind of, leave the eye mask on and just kind of check out what was going on with the bright sunshine coming into my room. And so here I was melting into nothingness in a
Oh my
world
God.
beyond dimension. And with the full light just pouring into my room, going, what the hell is going on now?
Fred's face.
What?
Fred's face is like, dude, you can't look with your eyeballs on that much ketamine. What are you thinking?
Exactly.
You're supposed to be disappeared. How dare you?
I love that this even challenges Fred's level. I know that when I'm challenging Fred's level,
See, here's the thing. This is like a negotiation. I don't know whether to say you're not yet challenging me, Morris, or no shit, dude, you're over the top. I don't go further, because they both are losers. So you're going to do what you're going to do. And it's sort of like negotiating with Aya, basically. I can't win this thing. I mean, you're just going to have to deal with you being you, as incorrigible as you are, and brilliant, like a brilliant.
I will just say,
machine.
kids, don't try 400 milligrams of ketamine with your eyes open at home.
Well,
You know what's funny is I can understand why. I mean, I remember once doing a meditative journey and peeking at my legs and just like the bathtub. I was in my bathtub, but of course it's too shallow for me to drown. And just being like, oh, gross. Like, that's pure chaos. Like, fuck that noise. I'd rather just be in the bliss state of intergalactic traveling than like the gross tiles of a bathroom that's like so limiting and chaotic.
Yeah.
That was how I could relate to Fred's disdain for you opening your eyes in the middle of a journey.
Well, to
like
me,
you're supposed to be like gone, and here you are forcing yourself to be there.
Right. But I wanted to see gone there. I wanted to not see the there, but the gone there. That was kind of what I was interested in. And that's what I
did it
got.
work? Did it work?
As I got the gone there, I totally got the gone there.
So it
was like, whoa, I'm in my bedroom, but this is so not my bedroom at all. I am so not in my bedroom whatsoever. And there's so much light coming in this room right now. And my visual receptors were so much more available to me than they normally are in my waking consciousness. And the whole idea of shedding light on things was literally happening, where my whole consciousness just was having all this light shed on it. And I'm like, it's like underneath God's flashlight, basically.
I wonder how people who had dilated, like, does K do that? Does it force your pupils to just take in?
No.
Not like other psychedelics.
Not like that. It works in a different site. It works in a different site. And so
your third eye, not your two eyes.
Yeah, that's really God. You guys are both pretty smart. That's pretty great. That's a pretty great line. I'll keep that one.
Wait, great. So we got. I'm trying to think of how we got here.
That's a really good line, Teddy. Thank you. That's really well said.
The third eye?
Yeah.
Third eye, not your two eyes.
Good. Really, really good. Really good. Wow. Because, Sam, while you're blowing up talking about, the light, kind of like the Maine, what is it someone from Maine called? A Manian?
Fucking Maina.
A what? A Mainer.
Mainer.
Yes, sir.
Fred, where are you from?
You call us Mainers.
Michigander. Detroit. So,
and Teddy, you're from Boston, right? Yeah.
Where are you from?
A masshole.
I'm a masshole.
I'm sorry.
I'm from Massachusetts.
Oh, masshole. So the two of you are like major neighbors. You're major neighbors.
It's true.
We got East Coast vibes.
You got the green mountains or whatever the hell's up there. White mountains or whatever.
Purple. Depending
mountain.
on what you're on.
Purple Mountains Majesty, huh?
Purple Mountains.
Fred, you and I are going to do combo this weekend.
What?
Combo.
Yeah.
Oh, the two of you are doing that together, huh?
Well, that's the word. That's the word on the street. And that's a good statement, as it turns out, without dropping names. But it is the word on the street that's what's happening. But, weirder
Have you
shit
done it
has
before?
happened. What? No.
Have you done combo before?
No.
Have you, Sam?
I've not.
And you?
I've done it twice, but both
Thank
times
you.
weren't enough for me to purge. Yeah,
All
I
right.
haven't gone deep on it, but I enjoyed both times. It
If
felt like a red hot, pulsating body blood orgasm type thing. It wasn't an orgasm, but it was like wow, 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 like you're poisoning yourself, so your body's like, which I thought was a kind of a fun feeling, but never puked. I've never puked off ayahuasca or combo, and this weekend I have a feeling like that's gonna change, and that's the control problem of me. Like that comes down
Me
to
and you are in
surrender
really
again.
similar space, Teddy Sander. Me and you are probably going to grow a relationship this weekend that's pretty amazingly spectacular. Whatever way this goes, we're really in a. I think you're. First of all, as a guest who's, we're going to probably wind this down the next 5 or 10 minutes. You're so much fun, Teddy. You're so, there's so many things about you that make you so much fun. You're all the areas that we were able to poke at a little bit here, and these discussions that have gone just to the edge in so many different directions, and it's really stimulating and really, really cool. It's really cool to talk to you and to know you, and I really appreciate you as a guest.
I thought we were just getting
Thank
started.
you, Fred.
Yeah. And me
You
and you
guys
are
are
about
great.
Have
to
we
me and
actually
you are about
talked
to
about
create a
anything yet?
relation. What?
Have we talked about anything yet?
Well, that's the
I don't
thing.
know. But this has all been one giant soliloquization. It's 11:11, by the way.
Fred's like, you've been such a great
11:11
guest. We've talked about so many
soliloquization
amazing
shows up.
things. I'm like, we've actually talked about shit? When did we talk about stuff?
E-commerce.
Oh no.
Back to being a psychedelic business shaman.
It is 11:11. Look at your God. That is so cool. It's cool.
I created
No.
this thing. You know how 11:11 everyone's always like make a wish.
Yeah.
I created this thing where during the minute of
Still
11:11,
11:11. It's been 11:11 for like 6 minutes. What the hell's going on?
Oh, now I lost it.
There we go.
At 11:11, I do this thing where like I listen, and any like song lyric or anything that anyone says, I like consider it like the most profound message from the universe.
Well, then soliloquization works for this one. You landed soliloquization, which is like fourth generation word initially developed 28 minutes ago. You did good, man. That's a word.
That's what this episode should be called: the Great Soliloquization Nizification ology.
The great soliloquization. Oh my God. All right. $20 goes to a guy who upgrades that one. I'm just saying.
That's non-toppable.
So what have we not covered that you guys want to talk about?
Tell any listener who is actually still patient enough to have lived through this soliloquization with the three of us. Tell
Yeah,
tell them.
You're gonna have to take one of our emails.
Tell them why you would be enthusiastic about hopefully vomiting this time around, because I don't think a lot of people can quite get the idea about why you want to vomit. Maybe there's for the curious amongst them out there.
Because that isn't the end. Because that isn't the end game. That isn't the end game. It's the entry ticket. And he looks like I feel.
That's a really, really good question.
He looks like I feel, man. That's it. Shit. He sounds like he sounds like I feel. Fuck.
I don't know why I would want to vomit.
Exactly.
I guess for the sake of exploration again, because I haven't yet. Which sounds stupid.
Mm-mm.
Well, because it'll prove to myself that I went deeper,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know why I need that to be. I don't know why I need to prove to myself that. Um, but it's sort of like a weird badge of honor to say I did so much frog venom on my skin that it made me purge. But also the purging itself, they say when you do combo, you're purging like old toxins and old trauma. And maybe, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty lucky. Like I don't consider myself having a lot of childhood trauma, knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
And
A hoe, as they
and
say in the hood now.
and maybe some part of me can make up a story where that's why I haven't puked yet. But
Yeah.
there's trauma. I mean, my dad died a few years ago. That was like a whole big thing. He
Your
he actually
your
was
your
like taking
capacity
antidepressants for 5
your
years. It's a long
capacity to
story.
address just your capacity to address universal trauma suggests that you are living it continually too, and you're no different than me in that way, or all of us. And I really, your articulation here is hitting me at a space that I haven't been able to say this week, and who even your troubled nature about like what, yeah. And I am right there. I have not purged. And was, basically at 48 minutes or whenever she decided to back off, I was still whole. And there is something like the breakthrough that's here for me as well. And I don't like, and I didn't have, I had a, I guess I had it's not like I had a bad childhood compared to childhoods, that's for sure. I certainly high powered birth to 12 or 13, but that's not what creates the trauma. It's the universal acknowledgement of what the fuck it means to be a human being that seems to really contribute to this thing called trauma. To me, like that's the
You
pain.
just, you just opened up a Pandora's box. So being a human being causes trauma?
Right. No, the function of being a human being is one to take on. It's all the dude was left with when he got up from under the tree, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah, it's like you're saying there's an inherent trauma that is like the trauma of the fall from the tree of knowledge,
tree from
basically.
knowledge or from Buddha underneath his too. It's like
Yeah.
misery and pain are that's our bailiwick. That's our,
And
that comes to deal with it, not to own it and be shot down by it. Like somehow get it.
that goes full circle to the DMT, the 5-MeO DMT story of when my ego came back and I knew that I existed and I left the purity of the ignorance of source and I was back in my body. The first feeling was fear and I was stuck in a loop and so scared that that would last forever and I knew that it would last forever. But then it was the awareness that happiness and joy and awe and wonder also last forever. That
Equal amplitude, equal available amplitude.
sure, as long as you keep, exploring, I guess.
Yeah. It's
And
not the
so
default. It's not the
it is a
default.
yes and to you though. Like yes, you have trauma. You will always, because you're human, you will always have trauma for your entire life. Yes. And because you're human, you will always have wonder and curiosity and joy and giggles. And, if God is everything, then God has a sense of humor as well. And like that's part of the human experience is like not taking it even seriously. And I think that's sort of the opposite in this moment right now. like that you guys are doing this so well. Like you guys are having so much fun during this whole podcast,
No, this is
and
actually our worst episode so far, actually.
it's all the soliloquization But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but also there's a yes and to that for sure.
For sure.
And like, and it comes down to like, well, it comes down to like forgiveness, sure, but acceptance. And this is a Mark Goldstein thing from one of our metal brothers. Like beyond forgiveness is acceptance, and to know that the trauma will never go away, and we can just bless it and know that it's there, and then be on our merry giggling way to the next experience, you know, knowing that we can't run away from that necessarily. And maybe we can't even reprogram the story. I mean, that's the big question. Can you be grateful for your trauma? Sure.
Well, that is the question. That is for me that, it's like, or can I incorporate it in, it isn't so much lemonade, but can I incorporate it in such a way that I recognize that the beauty of that experience is no more or less significant than the beauty of pleasant experiences? And can
Yep.
I live balanced with that notion that is such a broad scale that all that's left to do is to somehow incorporate all of those things as being natural, fundamental human experiences worth being gracious about, respectful of, and like incorporating into everyday life somehow, that when I give up on those things, when I say fuck you, like I'm not going to accept that part of my life is causing the level of discomfort or pain that it causes, so I'm not going to accept it. I do myself such a massive disservice, and then I immediately do whoever's with me a massive disservice. And then, it'd be great to somehow master the fact that each and every one of those experiences and emotions are equally foundationally, fundamentally valuable. For me, it would be great to catch that up.
You just tied a bow on it for me,
Thank you.
in the sense of my first ayahuasca journey and my last ayahuasca journey. My first one, I was crying for the world's pain and feeling like the beauty of it. And then my last one, I was what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And I came out of it that the best journey I've ever done. 5 hours of just stillness processing. And I came out of it with the answer was my purpose is to enhance the beauty of the truth of the human experience. And it's not enhance the love, it's not enhance the happiness, it's enhance the beauty of the truth, which is the fear and the pain and the trauma. And for me, like my primary purpose on earth is as a filmmaker is to allow people to feel and know they're not alone, and to go through processes of watching a film and experiencing something that's just so touchingly true, whether it be painful. I mean, it's interesting how like why do we cry? Do we cry because of the pain or because of the beauty of it, or like the beauty of recognizing the pain, or like the pain of the love or something like that? And when you said the word beauty in that
Yeah, this
bit,
crying, it's a beautiful it really, wow. I really for a moment there got the flashpoint before that first tear comes out. Like what really happens at that flashpoint? What really happens at release of tears becomes my honor or my responsibility or my leakage or something. Like there's something that happens. And is that indeed a recognition of some sort of surrendered truth of the beauty of pain, or like that's all I have, or it's like all I have is tears now. And
I
then
guess that's our
relief,
homework.
relief.
Well, I think there's something that is common amongst all three of us, and it's related to our psychonaut, styles, our interests, our common interest. And that is there's this relationship between us as individuals and our individual experience, our individual consciousness, and how this inner work of self-awareness on ourselves is reflective of what we feel called to do in terms of creating in the world,
Hmm.
and understanding the relationship between our individual experience of our emotional body, our mental body, our physical body, our understanding of that and how that translates to a universal experience that others have, which I think it comes through in your films, Teddy, which we didn't even get into talking about. It comes through in your work, Fred. It comes through in my work. This relationship between the individual experience, which we cannot truly have wisdom about the human experience unless we've tapped into it ourselves on some level, unless we can actually empathize with something that is a universal experience, we cannot have wisdom about it. And so, in our efforts to get to know ourselves more, we are seeking greater personal wisdom. And as a byproduct of greater personal wisdom, we now have other avenues in which to relate to the human experience and create from that space.
Yeah, and that's I get like I feel like it's communication, just like connection from one human to the other. There's there's a relatability that is bound from drama and pain. It kind of like connects us in a weird way. I mean, obviously there's more than that, but if you think about, this is another little thing, like I studied TM this year, transcendental meditation, and they talk about how thoughts are the release of stress. Like our brain is just there to allow us to survive, so our heart can survive. And it's interesting how, like, by default a lot of us talk about problems and issues and traumas and pains as like a connective tissue of humanity, especially in the news, social media often, because it's relatable, and in a way that, like, that's the beauty of it.
Dude, speechless. Good pickup. It's really
Because if
good.
everything was good, then it would be like, "How you doing? Good. Okay, cool.
What
We
would
have nothing to
every
talk about."
yeah. Wow. It's yeah. We really count on
It's hard.
like I have other things I could do besides be right here with you. And that sometimes gets heard as an insult, but it's the reason it gets heard as an insult is very similar to the truth of the matter, which is it's like, but when given the opportunity to do this, nothing is going to stop me. And that has to do with the brotherhood or the mycelium or the resonating overtones or harmonies or desires folding in or something that has it that is so rewarding. We're sitting here, we really are sort of already blasted past our intended 1 hour, but it's like, oh, this really could keep going, and that's okay. That's
It's,
okay, because 1 hour doesn't hold a candle to the importance of this conversation. It's like, who gives a shit about an hour, bro? We're having a conversation. And I'm really drawn to it from some sort of very universal in my marrow, or multi-generational truth of what it means to be a human.
Sam's laughing. I'm laughing because how do you stop talking about the universe and plant medicine? You can't. It's an infinite topic for sure.
That's true. So is e-commerce.
I feel like, I mean, we could have this as a 24-hour fireside chat right now.
Totally.
Well, I say we blow
I
it off and
drive my
meet
friends
often.
crazy.
Let's meet
because the
often.
only
Let's
topics
really
I
meet
like
often. I know our fearless leader always closes his leads with, when, can we have you back soon? But seriously, this is Teddy, you've talked to us before this thing even got launched, and it's beautiful to share with you. And I really do have to get going. I got someone waiting for me here. 11:30 is a few minutes past her wait, so just the way it goes. And so you guys can keep rapping if you want, but for me, I gotta adios. And
We can do a
We'll
part
pick up
two at
next
some
time.
point.
We'll do a part 2. Yeah.
at least a
You guys,
part two.
I mean, I just want to thank you guys both because there's a secret part of me that wants to drop everything I'm doing and write a book
Oh, I
on
got something to say about
philosophy.
that. Yeah.
And this conversation has mused me in that direction. I have this book. It's called The Book of Ignorance. First chapter explains how truth doesn't exist, and then it goes from there, which is it's just this ride. Anyway,
I love it.
I mean, you guys, like, I love being here. I'm super grateful that you guys brought me on, and it's
Easy.
been really fun. And yeah, I mean, we could go in so many
Easy
more
choice.
directions.
soon.
Easy choice, Teddy. Easy choice. So great. Awesome. Sam, fun times.
Fred, enjoy more fun times coming up.
I say we lean into incorrigible soliloquizations as a regular part of our show.
Agreed.
All right.
Agreed.
Let's land that.
Let's take it off the rails on a regular basis.
Why not? Just a place to go. We're explorers. Guys, I got to go. Peace. Loved you both. Teddy, see
Love
you
you,
in
Teddy.
about,
Love you, Fred.
see you like the day after tomorrow. Sam.
Love you, Dr. Fred. Yeah, see
Bye
you in
for
a
now.
few days.
Yeah. So everybody should know it's Fred Moss and Sam Morris. We have a guest here, and we're actually starting late tonight, so none of you have to deal with that shit. Because what really happened is that we bumbled along, and our guest handled himself exemplary, and me and Sam were just like we were just tripping over each other, trying to get this stuff put together for our guests, who just waited so patiently for us to get our act together. And wow, Jared, really, really appreciate your patience while Sam and I put this gig together. I know your time is very valuable. I know your time is actually more valuable than the average human being. And, you've mentioned that. We mentioned that. We know that. And then here we were just abusing your time. So, wow, a deep apology from me. And I'm sure I'm echoing a little bit of Sam's sentiments there. Sam, how you doing today? And what's up with that shit that we just went through?
I don't know, but I think my time, I'm just going to go back to the idea that my time is actually worthless, that it's actually not worth anything at all. I want to put everyone else's time ahead of my own, just to, sort of a kind of a masochistic sort of approach to time. Because people don't talk about that. People talk about time as money. People talk about, not wasting my time. I think I might go the other direction, just to be sort of contrary.
Cool. It's very cool.
Just to be contrary. My time is not shit. My time ain't worth a goddamn.
I hear you. And that, you know what? I'm impressed. For me, that reductionistic, minimalist way of looking at life and looking at this really weird illusion called time, and then just not owning it for yourself, to me, that drops you off as kind of a pseudo guru.
You could go ahead and I'll take it. it.
Yeah. I'm going to go shaman. I'm going to go with a worldly contemporary shaman. I mean, that not everybody's rolling that way, Sam. You need to understand that's an evolved state of being.
Wow. I did not understand that at all.
Yeah.
Thanks for making that bridge and that connection.
Yeah, no, that's who we're talking. See, Jared, this is what I'm saying is that I'm working with a man who's just underneath the level of a god, or sometimes rolling around on the same stratosphere as God. And, this idea that we were tripping through our headphones and getting the link to work is just uncharacteristic of the way this man handles life. And,
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense that he would go to self-flagellation then.
That's right.
Now we're talking. Exactly.
Absolutely. Got to set the record straight, the inner record straight. Self-flagellation is, it's better than self-flatulation, I suppose. That's the other direction I could go.
No, it isn't.
Self-flagellation.
This weekend, did you ever hear about prairie dogging?
No,
anybody, either of you know about prairie dogging?
This is a totally new term to me. What's prairie dogging?
Jared's got it going on. He knows what prairie dogging is.
I've heard something about the term, yeah.
So it's when it's in that, you do a little, I grew up in Detroit, so we don't use the word flagellate. What was that, flagellation? We don't use that word. We don't use any word actually over 3 syllables. And so we just go with fart, we just go with fart. And so a lot of times
it's flatulation.
Oh, flatulation.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not talking about this. Oh, you're talking about
I was saying self-flatulation.
Like
in other words, farting yourself is just as good, if not better, punishment than actually.
I'm actually going to go
flagellating yourself.
I'm going to go way rude here at the risk of being ostracized. I'm going to go here now. You guys one of you got to hold me up, even if the other one is completely offended. You guys have different experiences of farts than the average people do.
Oh,
both
amen.
of you.
What a great segue! What a great segue into our guest here. That's very relevant. Nicely done, Fred. Nicely done.
This took some work. Ask Alexandra. I've been practicing this fucking line all day.
You just landed the segue.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
So tell me, look, our guests may not know. They probably know a little bit about Sam if they've listened to us before. They may not know Jared, or unless Jared's bringing his army of fans, for which there are likely millions. But not everybody knows what I'm talking about if I say that the two of you have we'll say a special, unique relationship with flatulation, or as they say outside of Detroit, inside Detroit, just a simple fart. And the risk of a simple fart. We're talking, this is a high risk thing. Don't trust your farts. I learned that this weekend.
Don't trust your farts.
Trust your farts.
Tell us about how you learned that this weekend.
Well, there was
give us a little backstory for that. This is a good. There's got to be a story here. Did you shit your pants, Fred? Fred, did you? Fred is turning red.
Oh boy,
Fred, did you?
Look, I know I'm backing out of being like a professional physician and stuff, but there is some reputation that I need to sustain. And so this idea of me shitting my pants, it's not going to fly on air. We're going to edit this out. Ryan. We're not even going to let that question come through censorship. We're going to look, it's like our show. So I get to decide what shows up or not. So
oh my God.
I did not shit on myself, but I could have, and it was very possible that who I was with was going to. So the idea here was that there are some plant medicines, for instance, that cause purging in one way or another. And the second little bit less desirable, slightly less undesirable way to purge is out of the bottom. So, if I have to purge in a vomiting purging versus pushing it out of my ass, as they say in Detroit, I'm going to choose the one out of my ass. Okay. Of those two, I'm going to choose. I don't like vomiting that much. I just don't. I'm different. I don't like vomiting. And so
if you have a choice, so in this situation, it's almost like you're saying that you almost have a choice, like that you're going to either go with ass or mouth.
Yeah.
But you don't,
Yeah.
it's not like you're just given that choice with the
No,
plant
you are. You're
medicine.
given a choice for your future. You create the
Should I-
future and then you live into it.
Should I puke now? Should I
It's
puke
It's
now?
almost like an ayahuasca trip.
Extremely similar, coming from the same Amazonian backwoods. Exactly.
But just
Again,
to
like 8 Mile Road in Iowa, in the Amazon forest. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a prairie dog. This is the prairie.
Long way around the barn. I'm listening.
The prairie dog sticks his head out of the hole and goes back in. You know what I'm talking? That's what a prairie dog.
Got it.
Now
Okay.
you're getting it.
All right.
So in a prairie dog situation, if you're rolling around and I say that loosely, of course, this idea of rolling around. Again, excuse me for the rolling around theme too, because pretty soon I'm going to give away your guys' secret. But let's look. If you're rolling around with a prairie dog, which you guys actually both have done, like I've never actually rolled around with a prairie dog.
No?
But both of you know that there's nothing funny inherently about rolling around with a prairie dog. And in some ways, that relationship between a prairie dog and being afraid of farts really is what sets the two of you apart from most people that I've ever met. So,
wow.
You see what you're both look at. You see, if the listeners are if the viewers are listening, wait. Woo! If the viewers are watching, they can see that I got the support from both of you while I make a fucking fool of myself.
I love where you've taken this, Fred.
So, look, I'm going to drop Sam, it's up to you now to just, to pick me up because I got nowhere to go from here. I'm either so low that there's no place lower, or I'm so high
this is
that I'm
brilliant. This is brilliant. Build yourself back up from this space. I'm really curious how this goes. This is you're on a good tangent, man. Good.
All right, so we got
I
two
just
features.
want to hear how you tie this all together.
We got two features. We got the rolling around with a prairie dog, something that both of you actually have intimate knowledge of what I'm talking about in ways that most human beings don't. Do I get it? Do I get an amen on that? Am I talking shit right there? That's true, right? You get that? You both got that?
Around with a prairie dog.
And talking shit too. I'm talking shit.
I will say I saw a meme. The other day of all these different size. It's like a stick figure, and he's holding all these different size turds. Some are small and some are big, and some are different shapes and colors, and he's got them all together like this. And the little thought that comes out of his head, he's like, I finally got all my shit together.
Nice.
And so here we are.
Nice.
Look, the challenge to me is to get my shit together. I see the two of you staring me down. There's a lot of eyes looking at me right now like, hey, Dr. Fred, walk your way out of this one, bro. Let's see you. How, really, walk my way, which is, and that's my form of locomotion, is to walk my way out of it. That's again, where I feel just different. I feel different in this crowd because I walk my way out of this if I even can. There's not about me rolling my way out of it. And I've had prairie dogs.
Oh my God.
But I've never rolled around with prairie dogs. And I've been afraid of farting or as they say, flatulation. I've rolled with that. I know how to be Sam, I know about flatulations. But look, in a minute, I'm going to give you guys the ball. I feel like I've been, it's enough of an introduction for you guys to get the twin flames that the two of you are together for me. Like when I deal with one of you, I feel like I'm dealing with either of you. Anything I might say to the one of you, I really, it's easily applicable to the other one. And that's what, for me, that makes it really easy when I'm talking to both of you. In fact, it's like I'm seeing double. And all I really have to do is say anything I would have said to either of you because it lands for the other one as well.
So
And I really
basically,
appreciate that.
now you've just tied into that whole thing. Everyone in a wheelchair is the same person, basically.
That's-
Is
is that
you
not
let the
true?
cat out of the bag. You let the cat out of the bag.
Hold on. Whoa. Is that actually not true? Help me out, man. That's how I was raised. I don't know about you, but that's what I was.
That's so good. You're just like right at the fucking bottom of the ocean right now.
Yeah.
You're just continuing to play along at the bottom of the ocean. I'm like, how much more oxygen is down at the bottom of this ocean right now? What's it going to take for Fred to lift himself back up to surface? This is great.
Wow. So
this is a good one.
Now we're at a space where Sam's giving away a little bit of this now. You guys may have caught he was talking about being in a wheelchair, and that's something. I'm not in a wheelchair, but there's a couple other people on this call who are, and I think that's what he's referring to. So I just helping out our listeners there for a little bit of translation. And then to review where we've been, Sam asked me if everyone in a wheelchair is the same, and I told him that the way I was raised, that definitely everyone in a wheelchair is the same. So
does everyone in Detroit think that way?
That's right. Everyone. It's a Detroit thing. It's a Detroit thing you wouldn't understand. That's how that goes. Yeah.
Shit.
And
so
it's not like I'm a racist. So don't go there with me. Don't go there with me, bro. Neither of you. Don't be calling me a racist or a sexist or a classist. But as far as like a handicapist, a handicapist.
You're a legit ableist.
That's what.
Yes,
that's right.
A legit ableist through and through. Nice.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
proud of it. Yeah. So, wow. So, so both of you roll around in a wheelchair. Is this what I'm hearing?
Are we going to go back to farts or?
Oh, let's go there. Yeah, I didn't finish that one. Thank you.
Yeah, you didn't tie the fart thing back together.
Oh God. All right.
I will say, I mean, let me know whenever you want me to jump in and save you. I could probably save you.
I appreciate the lifeline. I'm going to go a little bit further here. And I know that I now have a lifeline, at least one call to make in case things get really rough here. When you guys fart, do you ever like leap off? Does it ever push you off the chair for just like an inch? Have you ever had enough propulsion, reverse propulsion in your fart to actually like get a little bit of elevation?
I have not.
What if I said yes? What if I just said yes? What if I tried to convince you that my 175-pound frame had actually been elevated off of my wheelchair from a fart?
Yeah.
That would be a seriously forceful fart. I would be afraid of what caused that and what might follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta let it out.
It's kind of fun though. It's kind of fun because you get a little surprise here and there. And I've had some times where I farted and then I was literally didn't know who farted. You know, you hear a fart and you look around and you're kind of wondering who farted.
Look at Jared and landing that with you. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I've had moments where it's like, you know, you hear a fart and it's like, I wonder who farted. Someone's not fessing up to the fart. And then it's like, wait a minute. Oh, I can't feel my ass. Maybe that was me.
Yeah. I literally just did that the other day. I did one of my weight shifts. Ripped ass. I looked around in the car like, who did? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
That was me. I remember the first time that happened like it was yesterday. I mean, I was literally shocked. I thought for sure somebody wasn't admitting it. It didn't even occur. I mean, I heard the sound.
Right.
You know?
Getting a little agitated about it. Like, who's fucking lying here?
Right. Yeah, right.
And then you got to land with whoever smelt it, dealt it. You got to go with that one too, right?
Well, one thing is for sure, you never have to take credit for it in that situation, because if you can't,
if you fart and you don't know it's you, did it really happen?
Yeah, it's like if a tree fell in the woods and there's no one to hear it. If a fart came out your butt and there was no one to feel it, did it really happen? Or at least is it you? I don't think there's anything to.
You're not lying for sure.
Certify that as yours if you can't. It didn't feel it. You're kind of off the hook. You're kind of off the hook. As a paraplegic farter, you're kind of off the hook.
But here's the thing. What if you're alone? Does this change the stats at all? If you're just like you alone and hear a fart or smell a fart or both, and you don't have access,
you don't have any experience.
What?
I think that can be a quite pleasurable experience. Something quite satisfying about that.
I'm curious.
When you're all alone.
Curious, Sam. I've actually found that not that I don't fart sometimes, but I don't. It rarely happens unless it's telling me, I've got one in the chamber.
The chamber.
And then,
I haven't been a big farter either.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder if fart is a double function of an upright locomotion.
I think I just have a slow creep throughout the day. It's like 24/7 slow creep. So it never turns into anything that's like a strong, fart with actual fortitude. It's just like this slow incremental creep. 24/7. Yeah.
Leaving a trail. That's interesting.
Another thing you could do what we did by saving Jared and making up that bullshit that we were the problem and getting started today. You could go with, you could just accept everybody's farts instead of leaving that person out there. You could go with I can't feel my ass. I don't know when I fart, and so that was probably me. So let's say that beautiful woman over there farts, and you're like, she's ready to lose her. She's ready to, the guy's ready to walk away.
I've done that before.
Yeah, you can save people.
That could have been me. I don't know. Excuse me.
Exactly.
And it might have been because it's like you hear it, you didn't feel it.
No.
Nothing unusual there.
Yeah. That's like the selflessness that Mr. Morris was talking about earlier. That's just sheer fucking selflessness. That is like,
well,
it's beautiful.
Let's not get too carried away.
It's kind of
it's more like creating a safe space for whoever you're around, letting them know they can be,
like a sacred space.
They can be fully themselves around you. If you can own a fart and have nothing about it, it's like it kind of puts people at ease.
Yeah.
So
or if you
so
wear
that
a
they might
T-shirt
fart
that says
themselves.
"Anyone farted?" That could have been me. It could have been me.
It could have been me is always worth saying. You're never lying if you say it could have been. Neither of you would be lying to go with that could have been me.
It could have been me. Yeah, exactly. You ever want to make someone feel calm?
Right. They're embarrassed.
You're out on a date with someone.
Yeah.
And they fart and they look like they're a little embarrassed. You just say, it could have been me.
Yeah.
In fact, it probably was me.
Yeah, it probably was me.
That was probably me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no worries.
Me.
We're complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually say, I'll lean over and go, was that me? It's a great icebreaker. That gives them the opportunity to disown it if it was them, or to say, that was you. Yeah.
Oh,
I do want to ask, but given that I was the one with the issue, with the technical issue, I'm noticing these
thanks
threads
for owning that. It could have been me. It could have been me. It could have been me.
Perfect.
But go ahead, because
So I'm noticing these little spikes by my name, but I'm not noticing very, very large ones by both of yours. Is my volume all right relative to yours?
Your volume is great, and because
yours is probably just much better than ours is probably what. As long as
you see the little scratches of Sam's on the bottom, and now you see the little itsy bitsy scratches, it's it's correlated to the size of your member.
But I'm doing well in this group.
Yeah, so you've got a relatively large member, apparently.
Relatively speaking.
Relatively speaking.
Folks, we've moved from the back to the front. If you haven't been taking notes, we are traveling through the body, starting from the wheelchair up, and now we've moved to the ventral side, the yin side, if you will, of the body.
Yes.
The yin side of the body.
Right.
And now we're exploring the size of our tools.
Yes. We're really getting somewhere here. We are really getting somewhere here.
Now, if this was an X-rated show, which as I told you earlier, my reputation is still quite important to me, so we're not going to go with straight X. But if we were to go with straight X, which we're not going to do, I want to make that very clear. We could dig in right now to this relationship that either or both of you have to your tools. The problem with this is in a moment, you'll be asking me, able-bodied, upright, walking individual, about my relationship with my tool, and I'm so not interested in sharing that with anybody. But everyone, seriously, if you guys don't know this, everyone immediately is curious about your particular relationship with your tool.
Are you talking about my Allen wrench or my penis?
Because both of those are very useful in our situation. I think I have about 6 different sets of Allen wrenches laying around. For the viewers at home, we use Allen wrenches to adjust our wheelchair.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've lost Fred Moss.
Not at all, bro. I'm just laughing. I had to laugh. It could have been me. See, this whole thing. Gosh, the whole thing could have been me. I want to make sure you both know that and in reality, that's, we're not. I thank you for at least skimming for now over the top of whether or not I'm talking about your Allen wrench or your penis, or as he say in medical school, they don't even call it penis in medical school.
They call it
penis.
Penis? No, really?
Yes, they do, bro. Because that's the way it's really written. So every so
No.
often, every
They call
month,
it penis?
every month
They
or
really
so,
do in medical school?
Yeah. So every month or so, I would roll into class because I thought, let's try this class thing one more time. Okay. So I'd put the Frisbee down, wash off the coconut oil, and then roll into class. And I'd be there, and the physiologist dude would be there, the physiologist professor. And he'd start talking, I'd start resting, maybe take out my pen, think about taking notes or something. And most of the words I wouldn't understand. They'd be, because I'm from Detroit and I only use 4 syllables max. And he'd be like 8, 9 syllable words. I'd be like, why am I here? And then out of his pie hole would pop the word penis. And I just would be like, dude, what did you just say? Why? What are you talking about? What is it? That's not what we call this in real life. We don't call this. He was
probably just trying to get your attention back. He was like, I've lost Fred. I better say penis again.
Yeah.
Fred's staring out the window. I better bring up the penis word.
Yeah, and vagina. You go with vagina.
Vagina.
Yeah.
Vagina.
Mm-hmm. I've never heard anybody say vagina, by the way. But penis I have heard. I'm sorry. In case any doctors are still tuned in. Because the truth is, if there's any doctors tuned in, I'm shocked. I mean, at this point, they're like so disgusted with who I'm being as a doctor right now. They probably they switched over to Dr. Kildare.
They're reporting you to the Central Doctor Command or
that
whatever.
Could be.
At this point.
We're watching reruns.
So is plural penai? Penai? When you're talking about
Penim.
Penim. With an M at the
end. Okay.
Well, yeah, right. It's because it's masculine.
Penim.
Couple of
it's Penim.
Panini.
Penim.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. So are you still leading us into discussing paraplegic penine? Is this where are we still going here,
yeah,
friend?
paraplegic
What my
penile.
relationship is with my paraplegic penny?
So
I think everyone is curious about your relationship, and I have opened a door now for you to either say or not say that which you choose to say, because I know you both have fielded questions either intimately or in a crowd when people feel protected, that you're not going to just like scorch them, because we got a bunch of walking people around, and then they just land the penis joke on you or something, and like, yes, hey Sam, what about your penis, or what about your tool? What about what's your relationship? Or Jared, I'm sure you guys have at least managed to consider what the proper hilarious or solid or answer, like deflective answer might be to what your relationship is to your bodily tool, and your member, your dick, like.
well, I have a question, Fred. As a doctor, did you know that you could have a penile fracture?
um no, talk to me, bro. I don't know about this thing.
You didn't know you
I'm a
could have a penile
psychiatrist. I'm a psychiatrist. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you
Talk
can.
to me.
Yeah,
What
so
is that? It's not even a bone.
yeah, I know that's what people say. So it turns out it's what it is a tear in the muscle fibers of your penis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And so,
It's a tear, and that's called a fracture.
yes, it's called a penile
It's a
fracture.
tear in the muscle
Do you
fibers.
do you put like a sling or a cast on it, or what the hell do you do?
No, what they do is they have surgery and they stitch you up. And you have to have surgery within 24 hours of a penile fracture, ideally, to prevent two things. One, future erectile dysfunction, and two, any return of sensation, if you were one who could have sensation there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
it's
given
very
the
important.
amplitude, yeah, given the
So
amplitude
how
of
do
your,
you break your dick? That's what
yeah,
I want to know. How does one
you just
actually break
land
their
on
dick?
it, a hard on, a front land, fall off your chair on a hard on, or what's
Like,
happening?
or like someone, your partner jumps off a table or something like that to land on top of you and just
There you go.
hopes that their orifice lands on you.
And
These are
they just miss a little.
And they just miss. Oh, shit.
these are
Fuck,
all
I just
possible
fractured
explanations.
my man's autopsy.
Another one is when you slip out and you hit the pelvis. You hear like a little pop sound.
A
Oh.
pop.
Oh.
Yeah, not good.
Fuck,
Not
man.
good.
Slip
And
out and hit the
if you don't
pelvis.
have any feeling down there, then it won't hurt. Isn't that true?
It's correct. It won't
You just
hurt,
look down.
although it will hurt to look at.
Yeah, it hurts to look at. Sam actually told me a story about his accident, which, with all due respect, really, with all massive due respect to both of you, there was a realization at one point that things weren't going to go well for Sam when he looked down at what was happening to his lower body in the emergency room. And I imagine maybe you had a similar experience where it's like, fuck, this is not what I pay. This is not what I, not what I,
I didn't pay money for this.
I didn't pay money for this.
Didn't sign up for this shit.
Didn't sign up for this one. That there was an experience that he described for me quite vividly of like a turning point in his life that had a little bit to do with his relationship with his member, with his cock, Yeah.
I think we all have a relationship with our member.
Yeah. Well, I have a relationship with my member, but I already told you that's off limits for this conversation. We're actually talking about both of yours.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, here's a somewhat serious answer to otherwise hysterical conversation, and that is that I don't want to minimize the challenge of being a man who relatively early on in life loses all sensation and function. I'm not sure what Jared's situation is, but with my situation, I lost all sensation and all function with my member, and that has been since November 9th, 1999. So almost 22 years. My dick has been on permanent hiatus. And it's an emotional. I mean, at that stage of your life, I was 24 years old when my injury happened. It is an emotional just nightmare, or at least it was for me in so many ways, because there's all of this conditioning in our culture around manhood being related to, we even call it your manhood, we even use that terminology. And so while on a sort of, a higher kind of spiritual level, I was aware that this was, not something that could define my manhood. On a very human level, I was very much impacted by it for many years, and it did lead to a lot of insecurities. And ultimately, what I've discovered through that was that one's manhood has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with one's sexual function. And so, in a sense, it's like I feel like I've graduated from that program, whereas a lot of able bodied men are still hanging out terrified of the notion of eventually losing their ability to get an erection or maintain an erection. To me, I'm like, big fucking deal. Been there, done that. Who cares? I'm done with it. It's not something that I don't even think about it anymore. And so it's not impacting me emotionally in a way where, a lot of perfectly able-bodied men at some point will have to go through that process. They will have to go through that emotional transitional period. And I'm like, I'm already done with that. I don't have to go through that. I've been there, done that, bought the ticket. It's over. I'm good. I've discovered that my manhood is not something that is up for grabs based on my sexual function or lack thereof.
Well, and sexual function isn't really limited to that either,
Exactly.
because
Exactly. Well, I mean,
you're
that's
pretty
the whole
sexually
other
functional.
thing. That's a whole other thing. Ask any woman that's been with me since my injury, and they'll tell you that the sexual function thing is actually going pretty damn well.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You're getting your job done.
Yeah, the job is getting done. Let's
Mm-hmm.
put it that way. Exactly. It's just a slightly different technique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to me, it's a less selfish technique too, because when you're not focused on your own genital satisfaction, you can focus a lot more on what's important. Ask a woman whether she's more interested in the guy focusing on his own stimulation or focusing on her satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're probably going to get the latter any day.
It's been my experience as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
neither of you.
I feel like I could write a book on this topic here.
You should.
Well, neither of you are at a loss for women, just loving you to death, and I love you both to death as well. But it's like the sexuality aspect of it, the idea that somehow you're left damaged is really mythical. It's not real at all. You're left in some ways with a pathway to freedom. I say as if I know what I'm talking about, but there seems like there is like a relief or an exhale or a pathway to a new description or a new way of being around one's sexuality when quadriplegia or inability to function sets in some sort of seemingly permanent way. I'd love to hear more about what you think about that, like a pathway to freedom.
Well, first I'd like to just be mindful that that not every person who's paralyzed has the same experience with sex or with their sexual organs. So some people can still feel a little bit, or they can feel a lot. Some people can have an orgasm. Some people can't. And also, Sam, the context that you created there and living inside of that context, to me, is one that's very empowering. Has you show up in the world able to be fully transparent and alive and engaged with your partner or whoever it is that would want to discuss this topic. And I'm sure on your experience as well, you've probably, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people with paralysis who haven't created an empowering context around their current sexual activity.
Indeed.
And they do look at it like they've lost some manhood.
For sure.
And
for sure, I think it's important to respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, for myself, I would concur with you. It certainly has become, once accepted, it has become actually a benefit. Because I always say, like, at some point when a man is having sex with a woman or another man, however they're engaged, they think about ejaculating at least twice, right? At least twice, probably a lot more than that, right? But at least twice during that experience. One is, well, I don't want to come too soon, right? Or I'm getting ready to come. And whatever, in either one of those situations, their attention is not on the woman. They're distracted.
For sure.
So when you remove those barriers, you can be fully immersed with your partner and you can be fully present to what actually feels good to them and guide them, into their own bliss and their own ecstasy. And once that space is created between the two of you, you can't help but be in that experience yourself. So whether you have an orgasm or not, you're still in that world of ecstasy. I think, at least that's been my experience.
Well said. Well said. Beautifully said.
Indeed.
And I just out of curiosity, Sam, are you married?
No, I've been married, but I've been divorced for the past couple of years.
I got one of those too under my belt.
You do, huh?
I got two. So
see, all paraplegics are the same. Fred was right.
I knew that when I knew that when you said you had one, that Jared would say he had one. I didn't know the truth, but I knew that you would both have one, because if one of you had one, then clearly the other one did too.
We both have facial hair.
Yeah.
We both have an ex-wife.
Yeah. What more do you need? I think I got a pattern. Here, a reliable pattern.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're doing well.
Yeah.
Like 3 for 3. Although I'm the only one who has actually elevated himself above his wheelchair with a fart. So I don't think Jared has actually done that.
It's not like Jared said no. He didn't say no. He just refused to answer.
No, I did say no. I did. Fred, you talked over me. That's what happened. But I do want to say, just for the record, I am an open book. You can ask, we can talk about anything in case you hadn't figured that one out yet.
Yeah.
It's been being
clearly,
right? Farts and sex. I mean, nowhere else to go but up from here.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. Well, say what you have to say. And I think, look, we actually have learned a little bit about Sam's injury, and we'll learn more about it. And I suppose the injury is like the easiest place that us, non-Jareds would be interested. Whoa, what happened? What was that day, or what occurred, or how long ago, or what happened to create the transformation of your relationship with this skin bag that's yours, like what happened. And I really don't know your story, Jared, and I'm not sure that's really what I'm even asking. I think I'm asking you to answer not the standard question of really what happened, but land close to that and bring us where you are when what is your experience as you explore that transformation, or as you explore what you were and what you are now, or what is something like that. And I invite you to, continue to capture poetic license in any answer you recite.
All right. Thank you. Well, I think in life, to be human is to not just have one wake up call, but to have several, or maybe an infinite number of wake up calls. And ever since I was little, I've always been into personal development and personal growth, looking at the next thing to take on. I just found it fascinating, this idea of development. And so I think that, so I was in a car accident. Is how I became paralyzed. So I'm a Asia A complete, for those that know T10. So basically from thoracic 10 down, about mid back, low to mid back down, I can't feel or move anything. And that occurred in 2014. So I was 32 at the time. And I think that being equipped to, while it was obviously the entire world gets completely adjusted and reorganized. But creating a context for your life ongoingly, moment by moment, that would have you not be reflecting on the past and what you can no longer do, but rather focused on the future and what it is that you could do, or what is now possible given the current set of circumstances that you find yourself in. And I don't think you necessarily, I don't think a person needs to go through a traumatic event for that context to be true, because our circumstances are constantly changing and shifting. And we are all already masters of our circumstance, or at least our past circumstances. That's how we survived to go from babies to toddlers. We had to master what it is to be a baby in order to survive, to become a toddler, and then from a toddler to, adolescence and all the way on up. But we don't relate to our lives in general, I would say, as one who is proficient in dealing with what it is that is in front of us. And I think that shift right there, to be present to that, is to really take on life, and has one looking at what is now possible given where they find themselves. So I don't know if that
beautifully said.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you, because I can so totally relate, obviously, since we're all the same person, since everyone in a wheelchair is the same. I can completely relate to this, I believe, through, you're talking about examining the past. You can't go back and recover the past. You have to be looking at the present forward. And I think the stark reminder of that on a day-by-day, moment-by-moment basis is very... there's something empowering about the fact that the situation that you are presented with does not go away. It's not like you can kind of hide from it. It's not like you can go to, it's not like one of those things where, say, you go through a challenging period and you kind of go and drink it off, or you kind of, you find some sort of outlet that numbs you to the pain, but you don't really ever deal with the past. So you're kind of holding on to it. With a situation where you experience paralysis, it's so obvious in every moment of every day that there is the past that cannot be recovered, and then there is what is possible now and moving into the future. And it's such a obvious reminder in every moment of every day. It just doesn't, you live with that reminder. You live with that reminder every single moment of every single day.
Yes.
How does that resonate with you? I see you're nodding your head a little bit there.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting because, until we can really make an impact on our lives moving forward in any direction, there's a certain level of acceptance of what is currently. And to and to your point, one of the things I've often said to people that I have compassion, for instance, for people with cancer, something that you can't see, something that isn't readily right there up in front of your community's face. I couldn't be in line, for instance, at a grocery store, and I get to see a part of humanity that most people don't experience on a moment to moment, day to day basis. People willing to help me, willing to move out of my way, willing to try to make my life a little easier. Whereas somebody who has an internal issue, they don't, it's not like it's like we have a sign, basically. Hey, I'm dealing with something.
Right.
And they might get
Right.
this, that friction, or that sort of survival that most of us, go through life kind of in this survival mode, protecting ourselves from strangers. And we could be a threat.
Right.
And so in many ways, I think that this has given us the opportunity to experience humanity in a whole different capacity.
There's definitely something to exactly what you're just saying. It's like there's sort of an invitation almost with a physical disability. It's sort of an invitation for compassion from people. It's an invitation for, and on the level of, one of the things that I had to work through was a level of being able to receive others' support and help because they wanted to. Because one thing I remember very clearly from, especially the first few years after becoming paraplegic, was this sort of fierce individual determination, like not wanting to give up, being so determined to do as much as I possibly could independently, because of the fact that so much of my independence was actually removed from me. And so wanting to double down on the things that I could be independent with. So there was a bit of a challenge with being able to receive help when help was offered. And at the same time, that help being available it's a window into humanity and compassion, and the compassion that's actually there, that a lot of people, I think you said it well, a lot of people simply don't have that opportunity to experience that.
Let me say something. I actually have a personal experience that I want to share with you. And going back to my medical school years, 1984 to 1989, if you include the internship, one of the things that we had in our physical medicine and rehabilitation PM&R rotation is we were given an assignment to be in a wheelchair for 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
And roll around Chicago in a wheelchair. And my experience for that 24 hours does not resonate with what you're saying for the most part. It was really learning the hardships, how to negotiate curbs, and how to get across the street in time, those kinds of things that you now have incorporated into your day-to-day life of when and how to move and where and how to get through crowds, or how to be careful on turning. And so, one of the things I guess I'm here, and if I remember correctly, there was even some snow on the ground when we had their rotation. So that was another area that we had to work through. And I remember people treating me like I was stupid. So talking slow and loud to me. If they were going to say anything, they would stop and get in my face and then talk slow and loud, as if I somehow couldn't speak anymore, or didn't need it, like from another, planet, or another.
They should leave that to me, Fred, to speak to you slowly, and they should have left that to me.
Yeah.
Yes. I told a lady once, I said, I'm paralyzed. I'm not hard adhering.
Yes, right?
Uh,
Right? So that's what I'm talking about. Like they talk
yeah.
loud. What is that? It's really, I also one time had my mouth wired shut for some surgery, and that it didn't stop me from talking, but it got me talking with my teeth like this. So I had to really negotiate how to speak to people with my teeth wired up. And I tried to buy a used car during that time. So I made several phone calls, and I didn't keep very good records. So, looking for a Mustang or something. I didn't keep very good records of the calls. And so the next day the paper would come and I'd look at the classifieds again. I'd be like, I don't remember that ad. I think and every so often I would call the same people I called yesterday, and they just get furious. They would immediately recognize me and then hang up the phone, like, dude, you already called me yesterday. Click. It's like, wow. Or when they were talking, they would talk slow and loud, as if I was not only hard of hearing, but, slow of mind. And it's like we so-called Sam and I have had some really brilliant discussions about this concept of, who's less handicapped. In some ways, who's less disabled now? Like the most, Sam is in some ways the least disabled person I know, and you too, of course. But there's something like it free. Gosh, and I know I'm treading on thin. Well,
No,
please
no,
allow me
it's
to
all
be there.
it's all good. You're going to a good place here. This is good.
Yeah,
You
it's
had to
like,
get here somehow.
well, if I had to go from prairie dogs, I had to get here.
Yes.
I had to go 28,000 feet to
Yes.
get here. So
Yes, true.
give me some props on that one.
Yeah, indeed.
We'll give you some
And
time to land the plane.
so what there is something about the fact that you maybe are less handicapped, less disabled, more free, more able, may perhaps not more able-bodied, but able human than those of us who are struggling with all the illusions that, whether my dick gets hard is my masculinity, or, the fact that I can walk means that I'm free, or any all the other iterations of that. But I really see that there's a freedom here that if I open my mind, I could almost theoretically become envious of your situation, of the exploration or the findings or the discoveries or the unconcealings that may have naturally occurred in your case, Jared, 7 years, or in Sam's case, I guess it's how many years now? It's
22 almost.
22 years ago. That there's like daily discovery, and yet suffering all three of us have, all 7.8 billion of us have, and it's defined differently, but there's something that you two have, and people who roll around in a wheelchair have, that we able bodies don't have simple access to. And I'd like for you both to address that. Like, what's here when you see Sam? You and I have had this discussion, so I really would like to gracefully.
Yeah. Let it be Jared. Yeah, Jared.
Well, I would say it's not like a given for sure. It's a possibility. There's a possibility that one who has a disability could interpret their life in such a way that they notice that they have gained gifts from it, or mastery of life in particular realms. And so, I definitely don't want to take anything away from the general stigma of how people relate to people with disabilities. And it takes something oftentimes to give them space, depending on where somebody with a disability is, maybe emotionally, what they're going through that day in that moment. If someone tries to help you, or they talk down to you as if you're less than, or like there's something you're unable to accomplish. But it's so there's that. But then you look at what was it Edison? I can't remember. One of the big maybe it was Rockefeller, one of the big capitalists back in the 20s. They had a monopoly, and they were, he went to court, and they were gonna strip him of all his businesses and throw them in jail. And he finally said, listen, and they were asking him questions about engineering and science, and he couldn't answer those questions directly. He said, listen, on my phone, on my desk, there's a phone. I pick up that phone and I push a button, and I can have the answer to that question that you just asked. So do I really deserve to have everything stripped from me? Now, what I'm getting at is part of life, you know, if not all of life, what we have is from our community, the people around us, everything. And that's true from the most able-bodied person to the most disabled person. And if one gets trained in allowing other people to contribute to them, which is a big element to it, then they can have what they want, perhaps even more of what they want when they're trained in allowing people to contribute. Because we all love it when we contribute to others. So why not give people the gift of allowing them to contribute? Now, having said that, I mean, I am by no means, I have gained facility in that department, but by no means, I would say a master at that. Right. And I still can get, pissed off when someone tries to help me when there's something that I think that I can do, similar to what you were saying in the beginning for you, Sam. I can still be that way. But, as a general rule, I would say that I have gained a lot of facility in that department. And so that could be an advantage for somebody with a disability if they have recognize that that's something that is actually valuable to allow others to contribute to them. Whereas somebody who doesn't have that might still be unwilling to acknowledge that they're not independent, but they're interdependent on their community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well said.
Beautiful, Jared.
Yeah.
Well said. I think that we live in an illusion of autonomy. And I think in the Western world that gets particularly emphasized because we have such a focus on the accomplishments of the individual in this culture. And so there's this illusion of autonomy that comes along with that. But we are inherently an interdependent species. We would not be surviving if we weren't an interdependent species. Mm-hmm. So it's a total illusion that we are independent, autonomous people. Might as well get over it, and disability kind of forces you to get over it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Forces you. Yeah.
It forces. And then, except, Sam, if I recall, like 59 minutes ago, you were mentioning that, your particular time is less valuable than everybody else's time. Like, you have yourself being pretty fucking special, if you don't mind me saying so. And I don't have it that you really see yourself necessarily through that comment as being an interdependent being. I have it you thinking that you're outside of our range and that you're pretty spectacular in your own right because your time is less valuable than all of ours. So can you comment on that? I mean, you think you're badass. I love how you speak and stuff, but I think I'm calling you on something real here, and I'd like you to handle that.
I maintain that my time is still less valuable than everyone else's.
All right.
I maintain that.
All right. I'll have the listeners and viewers, come up with whatever conclusion they do with this one. I mean, that's fine. It's fine, Sam. You had your opportunity, and that's a cool answer. I'm good with that.
How do we upgrade?
Well,
how do we upgrade that, Sam? How do we upgrade that conversation?
Yeah.
You playing small.
Oh, 101.
What was it Nelson Mandela said? I think you playing small doesn't serve the world.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just kidding. No,
Sam,
my time is infinitely valuable, but I still choose to give it all away.
Yeah, it's like reaction formation. Yeah, I give it now we're going to core wound, and that would be for our next podcast. That's like my time is infinitely valuable, and still I give it all away. Now we're going to sheer martyrdom. That is freaking awesome. Really, I love that.
There's a nugget in there. There's a good nugget.
There is for sure some sweetness in there.
Yeah.
I promised
Perhaps
someone that
that's the
I could.
way. That could be the way to like having your time be
No way.
infinitely valuable by giving it
Hmm?
all away.
There
Oh,
you go.
oh,
There you
I
go.
think we can tie a ribbon about around this conversation with that gem right there. That's pretty sweet, actually. So I did promise my wife and some visitors who are here in Grass Valley that I would be at a picnic in about 12 minutes, and they're about 9 minutes away. So as we close, if you don't mind, Jared, I'd love for you to let us know, how can we get hold of you? Any of our listeners or viewers are curious about you, want to follow you. We didn't really get so much into what else you do in your life except fart on wheelchairs and roll around thinking that you got things going on by catching aspects of humanity that us able-bodied people don't. But we really didn't get to talk much about what you do for your life. And there might be people out there who are really curious or want to like learn about you. How would they get in touch with you?
That's great. Thanks, Fred. Well, I'm still working on this whole social media thing, but I am on Facebook, so that dates me.
Hmm.
And I do have an Instagram account that I don't check very often. But I would like to get a plug in for NASCIC, the North American Spinal Cord Injury Consortium. And
Awesome.
one of the things that we do there is we look at different projects and review them and write letters of support for people who or organizations who are out to cause a transformation in our community. So we're looking for more community involvement, people living with a spinal cord injury, and having them have a say in the research that is going on to either improve the lives of those that are currently living with paralysis, or to further the research in that area as well. So membership is free. Be great to people who are interested to check them out.
I'd love to be a member. I'm going to be a member. So please put the link out here.
Oh, now we're talking about Fred's member.
You finally
We
got,
finally came around to Fred's member here.
which I think was the only open. It was the only open topic. I think we've covered everything and made the ends meet, except talking about my member. So now that we've done so, I'm about to be a member, and
otherwise known as your penis.
my penis.
Yes.
Gentlemen, it has been super fun. And Sam, you're awesome. And Jared, what a sweet guest you are. What I thank you for, I told Jared beforehand that I told him, he said, well, how do I prepare? And I said, wash away all your inauthenticities. And he said, that's a tall order. And then I said, well, then face the group of hungry hyenas that Sam and I are going to bring. And on top of that, the flock of vultures. I don't even know if vultures come in flocks. I think they do. I'm not sure. I mean, what else could they come in? And
could he have handled it more beautifully?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think he could have handled it more beautifully.
Yeah, he did. He really super beautiful. Super beautiful.
Well, it's been a privilege and an honor, gentlemen.
Really, really
Likewise, great. Jared. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. Stay on, Sam. Let me, when I close this up, we got to make sure the tracks unfold. So here we go. And to our listeners and viewers, thanks for hanging on. I hope you had a great time. And really, there's a lot of love here. And I hope that, I really hope that soaks through. I love both of you like sin, seriously. Not more than sin, about as much as sin. So thank you very much.
Love you too, Fred. Thanks to all our listeners and viewers.
I'm going to give you a few principles. Number one, pretending to be someone that you're not in order to protect the person that you are is completely ineffective and totally ludicrous. You see, you're going to be hated and disagreed with and canceled and censored, and you're going to be misunderstood and have your heart broken, whether or not you pretend to be somebody or you be yourself. If that's the case, if there's no protection, I invite you to consider bringing yourself anyways and seeing how it goes. Bringing your genuine self forward. Number two, you don't have a lot to say over how things go in this world, but you do have a lot to say over what you say, who you are, and what you do. You are not a prisoner to the habits that brought you to this very moment. I invite you to see that in the next second, you could actually say and do something entirely different than you've ever said before, no matter how your life has gone up until now. That is a really important piece of this whole process. Number 3, authenticity is totally contagious. Meaning, when you're authentic, you open the space for the people around you to be authentic, whether or not they're opposed or disagree with what it is that is your content.
Hey, I'm Adam Quiney. I was both a guest and a listener to the Insanity podcast, and two things that I really liked about this podcast. First is what great hosts and how thoughtful Sam and Fred both are. You can tell that both of them have done a great amount of work. Like there's a real depth of practice in their own being, meaning they're not just talking words, they're not just speaking stuff that sounds smart, they are in the practice of it. They walk their walk. So that's the first part that I think is really rich and rewarding about this podcast and this kind of conversation, as opposed to so many of the conversations which are out there. Because frankly, it's a lot easier to talk about stuff like talking about being vulnerable rather than actually being vulnerable in the moment. Telling a story about that time that things were really vulnerable rather than being vulnerable right now with you, with the audience. And Sam and Fred are not doing that. They're leaning in, they're playing on their edge in the podcast. And second, that I think is really great is the amount of space they hold for the guest to put themselves into the space. So some podcasts I listen to and then stop listening to, usually the host or hosts will have on a guest and then the host will talk. And the guest kind of says a few things and the host shares their opinion on that. And Sam and Fred both do a beautiful job of creating a synergistic experience with the guest, where you are getting everything that the guest has to say, but also Sam and Fred's take on it, and they're guiding without bulldozing. So it's really beautiful. A lot of the guests they bring on are really cool, and you hear really fascinating things that are really applicable and make a difference in your life. Check it out. I think I've just shared what makes Insanity unique, which is the depth of practice that the hosts have in their being. Rather than just talking about the stuff, they actually model it every step of the way. I would definitely recommend Insanity or an appearance, I suppose, on Insanity to other guest prospects, because you're going to get a chance to deepen your own knowledge and your own thinking about whatever it is you're bringing, as opposed to simply having a platform to say what you're already saying in the world, which is fine if that's what people are looking for. But there's a lot more available in coming on to Insanity than just a platform to say what you're already saying. I don't know if I'd say the experience was necessarily transformative, but certainly it was a great experience being on Insanity, and I think the conversations, what they do is open the door for more possibility, which is the seed from which transformation can grow. One aspect of the interview that left me inspired was just the opportunity to meet and be in something with some other people. So it wasn't simply an opportunity to come, have a conversation, leave, but really to kind of get our hands dirty collectively and, like a round table. And that was really cool. I don't know if I'd recommend a mentor if someone wanted to learn how to be an effective podcaster, not because there's anything wrong with Fred or Sam, but I would probably send those people to be coached rather than to be mentored to be an effective podcaster. Probably not the most helpful testimonial.